Saddam Hassan's a sick man. We were not at war with the people of Iraq. We were at war with the Iraqi people. I still don't know how we got into that war. You know, I remember at the beginning he came out and he said, we're doing this for oil. You can't use that one. Okay? To protect our way of life. Just as cynical. Restore democracy to Kuwait, please. I got it. He's like Hitler. Use it! He's like Hitler.
It's just something that has to be done, and you do it. If someone's drowning in a lake, you don't walk by. You got to jump in and save that person, you know, because it's something inside that makes you do it, and you do it without even thinking. Life is short. You get 60 spins around the sun, and that's it. So why not do something positive with your life?
Here's a young comedian. This is his first appearance on national television. Would you welcome him, please? Randy Credico. Randy?
Read the horror stories right here. The Rockefeller drug laws. Read the horror stories courtesy of Bob Morgenthau and his racist staff.
It's definitely an aberration when it comes to comedians to be so concerned about social causes. I mean, some people are concerned, you know, you read the paper, you go, oh, that's awful, but he actually does something, and that's shocking to me.
You got a table of like 20-year-old girls from, you know, West Orange, New Jersey, shit-faced, just staring at him. And he's talking about the Sandinistas and like mentioning, you know, soldiers by name and stuff. I wonder why it's not going over.
He goes crazy over anything. You know, it's like little time bomb, like a volcano. But honestly, we put up with him because he's good to the bone.
I started out in Vegas in 1974. I was 19.
The only guy in the history of showbiz gets on stage and goes, this is going to suck. He would say that over the mic before he started. You guys are going to hate me. And he was always right.
Come on in, folks. You're just in time to see me die. Sit anywhere. Bingo game starts in about 3 minutes.
I had a friend of mine who got me, not really a gig, because they gave me like sodas, you know. And it was the most difficult place, especially for a person like me who was just starting out. You know, there was like a bar underneath the stage there, and you had a bunch of shit-faced drunks. And back then I did like, you know, these like regular impressions. I wasn't doing anything political.
Oh, but Archie, where would we go? There, California, there, Arizona. There's all sorts of small towns out there in the West. Popeye. Us Calvin Barriskins, they're Al Pacinos, do not get any applause whatsoever.
Mickey Rooney. You know, I once worked with the great Judy Garland. You know, she's a lot better than all the other garbage you see today, like the Cheryl Ladds, the Farrah Fawcett's. You know, I'm in a show called Sugar Babies, and everybody's leaving right now, but hell, I love New York.
I'm still an egomaniac from show business, and I'm aware of that every single day. I did 2 eulogies, one for my mother and one for my father. And I can remember asking my sister and my cousin, how did I do?
Did you like that thing I did on my father? You know, when, you know, the golf story, or when fishing at Lake Mojave?
It was like I was doing a set.
I've abused drugs for many years. One of the reasons why I'm not in prison is because I'm an upper middle class white person.
I've gone through the withdrawal thing before, many times. When I always go to these isolated areas where I don't know any drug dealers.
One time I went to a small city in Florida after a heavy cocaine binge and checked into a cheap hotel room there and just sat around and watched C-SPAN. That's all I did, was watch C-SPAN. And that's when I learned about this guy, Tony Papa, and the Rockefeller drug laws. Papa was sentenced to 15 years to life for delivering 4 ounces of cocaine.
I was a first-time nonviolent offender. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I got involved with an individual in the bowling alley where I bowled, and he asked if I wanted to make a fast dollar. He says, all you have to do is bring this envelope to Mount Vernon, New York. And I walked into a police sting operation with 20 undercover narcotic officers. This individual was working for the police. The more people he pulled into the scheme, the less time he got. The judge gave me a break at sentencing. He says, because it was only the first time, I'll give you one 15-year-to-life term. So I spent 12 years in Sing Sing prison.
After I saw Tony Pop on C-SPAN, I said, I gotta find this guy. So when I got back to New York, I tracked him down, and we talked about drug laws, and what was missing was a street movement, vigils and rallies and things like that.
So that night was the beginning of the street movement against New York's drug laws, and also the beginning of a radical change in my life. The strategy was patterned after the mothers of the disappeared in Argentina. Women who'd show up with photos of their sons and daughters who had been kidnapped and murdered by the Argentinian junta. The fathers didn't show up because the military would just beat the fuck out of them.
When we go out, we have a picture of our loved one and with a little story on it that Randy did it all. He made all the posters too, and we all hold these posters. I didn't get help from anyone until I met Randy Credico.
This is Regina Stevens, her son, under the Rockefeller drug laws. Muscular dystrophy, full-blown muscular dystrophy, did 10 years in a maximum security prison.
They have to dress him, put him on the toilet, take him off the toilet. They have to turn him every 2 hours while he sleeps. He's no threat to anyone.
I used to call from the prisons, and she'd be, well, I'm going to protest, and then when I get Randy on phone, I'd be like, Randy, you gonna stop sending my mother all around, man? Oh, your mother's good, man. We work good together. Then she'd be like, no, Terrence, I like it because I meet so many people when I'm with Randy. And so many people's getting exposed to your case, and this possibly gonna have effect on getting you out.
All righty, when I count to 3, all of you are great monsters in a monster movie, and you're going to do the monster twist.
I got the showbiz bug early in life because my father used to manage this club called the Royal Tahitian in Ontario, California. And they had Louis Armstrong, they had Bobby Darin, Sonny and Cher, the Righteous Brothers, James Brown, and they had the greatest entertainment.
And I loved that environment. I loved it so much that there was a hypnotist one time. It was always there, Pat Collins, a hip hypnotist, big blonde woman.
Throw it away. It's stuck in your finger, Steve. Thank you, Kenny. Sleep. Right down, Dave. Sleep, Kenny. Just throw it away. You're a very good subject, Steve, and I hope you make a marvelous doctor.
I went up there, and I know now I was not hypnotized. I was up there looking to get some attention and pretend like I was hypnotized at age 10. It's all show business. That's all this thing is about right now, is that our side has a better act than their side. They can say, well, drugs this, drugs that. It's all been hype and garbage. And now we're going to say, okay, here's our side here. Look what you did to this kid here. This little 5-year-old doesn't have a mother now for 20 years, okay? Now, everyone has a mother. Would anyone here like to see their mother go to prison for 20 years because she's an addict, because she's sick? No. What would that do not only to the mother, but to the kid? You've tortured that kid.
This young lady is Lisa Oberg. Her mother was pregnant with her when she was arrested. She's 10 years of age now, and her mother has been in prison her whole life.
The kid was great because the kid was like a Shirley Temple type, She was articulate. She was the right size, 4'2", and she had the long hair. She was cute, and she could appeal to a lot of people.
My name is Lisa Oberg. I am speaking against the Rockefeller drug law. My mother, Arlene Oberg, was arrested and sentenced to 20 to life under this terrible law.
And we did get Lisa's mother, Arlene, on television to underscore how crazy the Rockefeller drug laws are. A woman, a mother, doing 20 years to life for a couple of ounces of cocaine.
Arlene says Lisa always asks when she is coming home.
I always tell her she'll be 19 because I don't want her to get her hopes up. And she knows I'm going for clemency, and I didn't want her to know because I don't want her to think I'm coming and not come.
I wanted to be this big guy. I did impressions. I wanted to, to be loved. And at the same time, I wanted to say something radical.
I was in a comedy room in the men's room, and from the next stall, I heard Kissinger.
And I was thinking to myself, what the hell is Kissinger doing in the men's room and the comedy room? And I go out, there's this cute little guy. He looks like an attractive rodent. I mean, he has an overbite, black curly hair. He was Kissinger. He was doing Kissinger. He was doing it on the money. And so I go into the comedy room. There he goes on the stage, and he does corny stuff like Edward G. Robinson into James Cagney. I mean, stock doing the voices well, but so what? A couple weeks later, there's that guy on stage.
Ronald Reagan, man. This is the new one that I'm working on, okay? Just bear with me. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with the good old-fashioned nuclear war. Well, I spoke to my wife Nancy about it last night, and she feels as long as it's played on a good solid surface, it can be beneficial to mankind.
He wasn't doing James Cagney. He was doing Reagan. He was doing Kissinger. He was doing Strom Thurmond. He was doing Bush.
But, I went overboard. I got so political that it really cost me, any kind of future in that city. And I remember the night that spelled doom, that was the coup de grace, the Sahara Hotel. And I have all these executives in the audience, man. This is the night that, they're going to sign me up to this huge contract for the next couple of years. And I closed the show with a soliloquy from a movie that Humphrey Bogart made. And it was this, anti-death penalty film, right?
Until we wipe out the slums and rebuild them.
Knock on any door. You might find a Nick Romano.
Yes. Nick Romano is guilty.
This is a pro-death penalty state. This is Las Vegas, rich people, gamblers. And the last thing I say is, well, where do we take them now? Do we kill them? And the audience is saying, kill them! They're saying kill them. So, and what it did, it killed my career. That was it in Las Vegas. Every hotel I worked in Las Vegas has imploded, every single one.
The Silver City, the Hacienda, the Dunes, the Landmark. I worked all of those clubs and one or two more, and they blew the fucking things up.
So if you go to Las Vegas now and say, where did you work? There's no place that I work because all the places have been blown up. So after my self-immolation in front of these Vegas suits, I packed my bags and moved to New York City. Thinking that was the place to do the political humor. Today, what I like to do is go out to demonstrations, which is only once, a week. You do it for an hour and a half. You spend the rest of the time getting people to go there.
It's Randy Credico calling about tomorrow's press conference. Hi, Miss Pernick, it's Randy Credico. I'm calling about tomorrow's press conference. I fucking hate doing this shit, man. I guess this was my last one. I'm gonna keep calling people up all the time. You show up here, can you show up there? It's fucking impossible. I left a message last week, and it looks like he's going to miss out on this event tomorrow. Hello. Hi, it's Randy. How you feeling? Oh, no. Well, if you feel better, somehow, try to make it, because we have H. Carl McCall there now. Fuck. One person's answered today. We'll fucking break something. Hello?
Hello?
Who's this?
Hello?
Hi, it's Randy.
Hi, hold on, Randy.
I didn't even know who I called.
Hello?
We may get arrested today. They're very serious in that place. This wasn't the way to go. We should have taken subways. You know that? We should have all taken subways. I mean, it's the worst time to go anywhere because it's lunchtime. Look at the fucking traffic, man.
Rockefeller was considered a liberal Republican, and he wanted to run for president. He said, I got to change his image. And the way he changed his image was to be tough on drugs. The first person to come out with these strict, draconian, mandatory minimum sentences, hoping to ingratiate himself with the far right in this country.
Half the crime is caused by narcotic addicts who steal, rob, mug, and kill to get the daily funds for the fix.
And he died cheating on his wife with like a 15-year-old, and he had a heart attack. And 27 years later, these laws have destroyed so many lives. I mean, just countless. Here, he's dead, and he's still destroying lives, Mr. Rockefeller, for an ambition, an ego. You know, what's the sense of having an ego? You're going to die anyway. You're going to end up in the ash can, you know, like he did, and he continues to fuck with people's lives because he wanted to be president.
The Supreme Court just upheld the right of jury nullification. Not this Mickey Mouse Supreme Court. This is a modern-day slave auction block.
Why don't you try another system?
This is the worst system around. I live it, and I don't want to be victimized. This is. Okay,
Try Bangladesh.
95% of people in prison are there. 95% are black and Latino.
So?
Oh, you like that, don't you?
What does that got to do with justice?
You think that she has a chance in courtroom?
Absolutely.
Huh? She does?
Absolutely.
Well, Leslie Crocker, yeah,
I
right.
defend them. I prosecuted them too.
You did? Huh?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. How big a caseload of white people on drug charges did you get as a...
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah.
Those
it's 4% in the state.
You know why?
80% of the people that use and sell drugs are white.
You know why?
Because you have racist cops, you have racist... You don't think that Judge Goodman isn't a racist? You don't think Judge McLaughlin and Judge Fitzgerald and Judge Snyder aren't racist?
We have the best system in the world.
Oh, please. Which system have you gone to trial in besides this one?
The Italian system, the French system, the British system.
Yeah, they all blow, right? This is the greatest. What do you people think? You people think this courtroom is fair? Huh? Is it fair? No. You got one white guy that thinks it's fair. Yeah. What do you do here anyway?
I'm an attorney.
For whom?
For whom?
Yeah, who are you defending right now?
I am defending Mr. Atsumi, a Japanese gentleman.
For what?
Embezzlement.
Embezzlement. Oh, I bet you he doesn't do as much time as she might do for $5 worth of crack.
Exactly.
Right.
What is your...
Read all about it.
So you have Duke, you have Buchanan. This makes Bush look really moderate, you know, which he's not, but he looks moderate. It's like you have Hitler and Mussolini and Bush's Tojo, you know? He's lucky a guy like Bob Dole's not running, who's like considered a moderate to a lot of people. And Dole's like a vicious campaigner, you know, and he does it in this disingenuous way. You know, he'd like tear Bush apart. You see these two guys debating? I'm here to talk about the issues, George. The issues. Didn't come here to mudsling. I've heard all the stories about George Bush walking around in women's clothing. That's up to him. But I'm here to talk about this economy. If George wants to sleep with a guy occasionally, that's his business. We got to get this economy going. I know you jumped out of that plane in 1943 and let those two guys die, George. You became a hero, but that's old news now. We got to move on to your three sons are thieving scumbags. But let's...
Here's a young comedian. This is his first appearance on national television. Works in Hollywood out here at the Improvisation. And would you welcome him, please? Randy Credico. Randy?
At that time, it was the greatest moment in my life in show business, you know. To hear that you got the Tonight Show you got the brass ring, you know what I mean?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Johnny. What a great introduction. As he said, I do political impressions. And
I'm doing great, you know. I'm doing the Reagan, Jesse Jackson, and Ted Kennedy, and all this. And there was a point where Freddie de Cordova said, "This guy's great, right? He's coming back." I thought that I would get the chair. I was doing that well. There was a point where I was going to get the chair. Everyone wants to sit in the chair next to Carson. I mean, he's the king, so you're waiting for the king, you know, to judge you. You know, you submit yourself more to him. You're playing to him, and I was, more than to the crowd.
Speaking of Reagan, he did well the other night. Surprised a lot of people. He was quite effective, especially in the beginning when they asked him if there was a secret war planned in Central America after the election, in which he said, well, let me just say this. You take all these countries, El Salvador, Nicaragua, now. You line them up diagonally, and you will see that they, in fact, run right into the state of Illinois. I was born and raised in the state of Illinois. And I can recall when I was a kid, going to the county fair with the livestock and exhibits and first prize.
I was doing very well.
What did you say that rubbed them the wrong way?
I did a couple of things.
Like
and,
what?
Jane Kirkpatrick, she is the UN ambassador, and she says a lot of interesting things. As a matter of fact, if you examine some of those statements, you got to ask yourself seriously, did Eva Braun die in that bunker in 1945?
Somebody said, whatever you don't do Carson, I did like a little bit of Carson as well.
As a matter of fact, he is the Tommy Newsom of the political scene, I would say. I had.
That sealed my fate. No chair.
Randy Credico. Good stuff. We'll be back in a moment.
That was the most disappointing moment of my life when Carson did this. Good stuff. Instead of saying, come over here.
You know, when you did the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and you came back to New York, it's all people talked about for a week. When he came back, no one even asked him how it went, because we all knew how it went.
My father did 8.5 years in prison.
For what? Nothing violent. In the 30s, you know, Italian guys got involved in, you know, small-scale mob-related stuff, and he did 10 years in prison. I grew up around him, but he had a big heart.
I was born 20 years after he got out of prison, but that experience never did leave him. It hasn't left me. I mean, all my life, you know, when he was talking about that, I wanted to do something about this situation, the prisons, you know, what it does to expose it. He was a great person. My father was this wonderful, big-hearted person, but that experience in prison never disappeared.
So Credico, that topic, wow. You know, he's a real inconstant in my life, all right? I mean, I get these phone calls in the middle of the night that always start with, hello, hello, hello. And I realize that he's been let loose with a cell phone again. He came into my life because we made common cause politically around the Tulia drug bust.
Randy called me up and told me about Tulia, Texas. But I never knew I would ever go there, you know? And they're being arrested the same way our children are being arrested up here in New York. And it's like being in a different world. You know, they have the white park and the nigger park. And they got the white people live on one side of railroad tracks, and then the colored people live on another side of railroad tracks.
In a town of about 5,000 people, it has about 500 black folks in it. A couple of years ago, everybody got in on the drug war bandwagon. The local sheriff, the DA, and they decided to put away 1/10 of the town's black population.
One of the biggest drug busts ever in this part of the world. So big, it changed the racial makeup of the town.
You were to ever go to Tulia, you would see there is no way they could even have that many drug dealers there, because there's nothing there. You know, no, you can't make no money because there's nothing there.
We hadn't been there but a couple of 3 months. I thought, I've moved into a little town with a big drug problem. But my wife was much more astute, and she said, if there are 43 drug dealers in Tulia, who are the buyers?
This is the guy that they chose to do their undercover work with, a guy by the name of Tom Coleman. Turns out that this guy has got to be the most crooked cop in the history of undercover work in the state of Texas. A sheriff from the county that he had worked in before said this man should never be hired in law enforcement again. These people began to get sentences 75 years, 100 years, 99 years, 320 years. No corroboration, no photographs, no surveillance, no cameras, no tapes, no nothing, just his word.
The only thing they had is this man's word and stuff that he wrote down on his leg. I have never in my life heard of nothing like that.
Would you have liked to have had some corroboration, another witness, an audio tape or a videotape, something to back him up a little bit?
No, I didn't need that. I didn't really need it. I believe the man that much.
This is the bottom of the barrel of the drug war. Rural counties looking for money through grants, hire these guys to come in, make numbers, arrest people, If they're guilty, fine. If they're not, well, you know, who cares anyway? They're going to get convicted because they're black or they're Mexican or they don't have any money. And everything was going according to plan, and nearly every one of these people were locked up. And then, from the great beyond, Randy Credico shows up in town. You know, I started out really wanting to like this guy because he was on my side. But towards the end, he'd driven me completely crazy. He'd driven my wife absolutely crazy, and she was ready to leave me unless he left the house. The place stunk of cigar smoke. He was on the phone all the time. But he was making a lot of magic happen on the phone just by being himself and calling everybody from New York to LA and getting national media down here, which is what we desperately needed. Credico began to say things that nobody had been willing to say, that this was racist, that this was wrong, that this was crooked.
That the war on drugs is a war on people of color. It's not just dirty cops here. There are dirty cops all over the country. There are cops, white cops, who play out their racism through the drug laws.
I used to be so mad. Sometimes Randy called me. I'm in my bed chilling. Oh, you gotta come down here. You gotta come down here. I'd be like, oh, shit. You coming? You coming? Yes, Randy. You promise? Yes, Randy. Yes, Randy. Yes, Randy. Yes, Randy. You know, let's go.
That was Randy again.
That was Randy.
You know it's
Yes,
time for us to go.
But we got to get ready to go because we don't want to have to kill Randy.
I spent 2 months there last year working to get the press nationally on this issue, and I've been working with them for 3 years. So now they're organizing here to do what they did in New York, in the black community. You know, give them the leadership role.
Now, when we go home at night, we are the ones that are suffering. When we walk through that house and look around and everything reminds us of our family members, we're the ones that don't sleep at night. All these kids that are running around here with no...
Without Randy, there wouldn't be a Tulia issue. There wouldn't be newspaper articles in the New York Times, the Washington Post. There would be no case. They would all be in prison right now. Nobody else could have done this.
Will you please welcome my friend, my comrade, my imitator, Randy Credico.
Now, the plane, which was equipped with foodstuffs disguised as M16s, AK-47s, and grenade launchers, was cut down by the Sandini, those guys there with the Mexicans there, all those Mexicans they have there. I have evidence that the Sandinistas have invaded Honduras. I have a photograph. Well, it's not exactly a photograph. It's a shadowgraph. As you can see, the guy with the duck head is Daniel Ortega.
I met Ortega back in 1986 in one of my frequent trips to Nicaragua. You know, here we are trying to destroy this country, a country which I thought was a very, very positive example for the rest of the world, a great model. So I went down there and I raised money for the Sandinistas, and I did comedy down there. We did a thing called Humor Against War. So we traveled throughout the state, throughout the country, and worked some very strange locations. The U.S. Embassy, which I called Bates Motel down there, right? Which really put me in good with the CIA when I needed a replacement passport and I had to go inside there. But we used to do our act in front.
I don't agree with Reagan. I don't think anybody here agrees with Reagan on anything. I do agree with his wife, Nancy, on one thing on drugs. I'm against cocaine. It's bad for you, and plus I don't support the Contras directly, so why should I do it indirectly? And of course you have General Singalov, who's the real nut. I have been fighting communism for a long time now. There is a group of Indians in the Arctic, 8 of them, that live a communal life. We've got to stop that from spreading. It's a cancer over there.
When I got back from Nicaragua to New York, I was faced with a huge challenge, trying to make it in show business without selling out.
You know, there are certain things that you have to do to make it, and that was colliding with where I wanted to be as a performer and a human being. It was just not inside of me to be commercial. I just couldn't force it out. I didn't even know Puff and Stuff until I was 35 years old, who the hell Puff and Stuff was. And suddenly I was doing the voice of Puff and Stuff.
I love you,
liked our puff and stuff.
I love you too, Rosie. You're my favorite.
You think maybe one day we could get Sigmund to come on here too?
I think so. If you know all the words to my theme song, I'll bring them right on out. I don't think you know them all.
Will you do it with me?
I don't know them all myself.
You know, I'm doing political humor at this time. I really don't want to do puff and stuff. I don't want to be, you know, people respect the fact, all right, he didn't make it, but the guy at least sticks to his beliefs. The main reason why I did puff and stuff was because basically I needed the money. And my girlfriend was inside the puppet. And I'm doing the voice to the side there. It would have been a lot nicer if I was inside the puppet and she was on the street.
No one knows who's inside the doll. I'm the dildo doing the doll's voice.
It's like, you know, walking down the street naked and everyone looking at you. It's the same thing.
97 was a pretty good year for me. I started doing puff and stuff in a costume, and then I closed the year in a rat costume. I became the Pied Piper of Gay Street. I remember coming drunk at night and sleeping in the basement stoop because there were never rats there. Suddenly, there was this rat population, and I traced it to the back of McDonald's. McDonald's had an alleyway, and they were keeping the trash there, and the trash was piling up. Suddenly, rats were all over the place. They were like climbing up trees, even like trapeze stuff from the telephone wires, and I kept going into McDonald's, asking them to take care of it. I would put signs on McDonald's, right there on the window saying, we have a rat problem, we're doing our best, sorry about the problem, the management. The owner called me up and said, Mr. Credico, would you stop doing this type of... I said, please. We never had a McDonald's before. We never had a rat problem. You're immune to it. You live 150 miles away next to a golf course. How would you like it if I opened up McDonald's next to that golf course and you had rats? So I got a bunch of kids together. We put together these costumes and put rat ears on our heads. And we stood out in front of McDonald's, about 10 or 15 of us, and the news came by.
You see one of the rats in the back, believe me, you'll have a heart attack. Courtesy of the owner of this building.
The next day, the alleyway was clean, and within 2 weeks, the rats were gone. That was the most effective thing I think I've ever done. Of all the action I've done in my lifetime, getting involved in Nicaragua, the prison stuff, the most effective thing that I've ever done was getting rid of the rats on Gay Street. You know, because everyone can sympathize with that. Who wants rats? Right-wingers don't like rats, left-wingers don't like rats, blacks don't like rats, whites don't like rats. Everyone hates fucking rats. So I was a hero to the left and the right. First time in my life.
Most comedians are incredibly self-centered. I include myself in that group. He's the only comedian I know who isn't self-centered. I'm amazed how any comedian could spend any time at all thinking about something other than themselves.
The first time I saw Randy, I saw this guy with a stack of flyers in his hand, coffee stain on his shirt, his zipper like halfway undone, popcorn flying all over the place. But I have never seen anybody who's as effective as Randy is.
Tonight we're going to meet three women. Kenya Titus, who is serving a 15-year to life sentence. Arlene Oberg, who is serving a 20-year to life sentence, and Elaine Bartlett, who is serving a 20-year to life sentence. All three are first-time offenders, the first time they were in trouble with the law.
Randy has been able to get more people on the radio, in television, and in the newspaper than anybody else on this issue. Though what I think he likes more than anything else is just being on the street.
And we're going to show the public what a sham operation you're conducting out here in Queens County. Amen. You are a fraud.
Randy has incredible instincts. Randy storms in through the door, holding up the paper and saying, Pataki's going to Vieques, he's going after the Latino vote, this is where we have to go get him. Next thing you know, Randy's taken out all these ads in the Spanish press. He had started getting all this attention. You know, for the first time, all the Spanish press started covering this issue. Within a week, Pataki is freaking out and writing op-eds in the Spanish press, responding to all the coverage about the Rockefeller drug laws. Randy comes up with these ideas all the time.
I don't know how he got involved with Jimmy Hoffa Jr. I have no idea. One day he started talking about Jimmy Hoffa Jr., how he's working for Jimmy Hoffa Jr., and I thought the whole thing was a routine. I didn't know what he was talking about. I wasn't questioning it. I said, oh, ha, ha, ha. And you know, you could never really, when you're talking to him, It's always one side anyway. There's no room for you to say anything. So he was just talking. I didn't even have a moment to say, all right, it's enough with the Jimmy Hoffa Jr. jokes. You know, what else is going on? But after a while, a number of conversations, I thought, the guy is really working for Jimmy Hoffa Jr.
Well, in '96, I worked with Hoffa. I ran humor for Hoffa, which I now, of course, regret.
I did get paid for it. It kept me busy, and it was a challenge. That's the reason why I did it, is because it was a challenge.
He was a real hustler. You'll be doing sets in rooms that the pool tables would be, you'd be playing in back of a pool. A guy's would be playing pool, and you're trying to do a set. And Randy would be by the owner going, oh, it's great, it's great, it's great. Randy would have made a great pimp.
Imagine the poor performer, the poor comedians who got to try to work this room. I wouldn't work this room for nothing. That's why I got somebody else to do it.
The Teamsters at the time were under the control of federal government. I didn't like that. And I agree with the challenge of fucking with the federal government.
I think Jim is going to be the greatest labor leader we've had since his father. It was the greatest labor leader we've had in the 20th century.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. But that wasn't the reason why he ran. The reason why he ran was he wanted to be the head of the Teamsters, and he wanted to have all the perks, and he was a lazy motherfucker.
And our motto is, restore Teamster pride. Restoring the pride.
He was like a big fucking fat parrot, you know? Pride's back, yeah, the pride's back. Where do I say that next? So, hey, the pride's back, you know? You know, people bought it. People are desperate, you know? A desperate guy who has a desperate ego.
Yeah, this is a copy of tonight's lineup. And I don't have but one copy of it. I can't believe it. That's how fucked up I am. This is really professional that I'm going to give you a piece of lined paper to write out the schedule. I should have had 40 of these things. Too busy getting drinks, pizza, and things like that, waiting for Nick DiPaolo and for Brett Butler to show up at 1 minute before the show's over.
I'm here because free booze, free food, maybe some coke. Credico's involved. He got me to do a benefit for Jimmy Hoffa Jr. And I'm not a big union fan, you know, I'm more of a Republican. I'm to the right of center. He's persistent, so we give in, you know? I can't stand his politics or anything, but there's something about him.
Now, we're waiting for a major star to show up, Brett Butler. I hope she shows up. I've been kissing her ass for 2 weeks now to come here tonight. Did you leave a message with her? Yeah. Did you tell her what time you were going to be here?
No.
Did you tell her the show started at 6?
I'm not fucking married to her.
I know, but you did leave a message, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah, bye. See what she just told me? I thought the show started at 8:30. I thought it was a late show. She's sold out. She's here doing a fucking show, Grace Under Fire, all right, doing 7-Eleven commercials. She blows. That's what I'm telling you. She blows for not being here tonight.
But how do you really feel?
That's how I feel. You care how much you think you're going for? Ann was the 19-year-old I was talking about earlier. But she's my better half. It's the best kiss I've gotten in a long time, only because she's on camera. And Ann works with me, and I couldn't do it without her because she has to put up with all my
I'm the only
anger,
one that will put up
all
with
my
it.
anger,
The
all of
only
my insecurities.
I didn't know anything about Hoffa or the Teamsters or anything. It was just kind of like, oh, it'll be great. You'll go to California and it'll be really fun and I'll pay you all this money. And I don't even know exactly really what I did. I was sort of like his assistant, I guess, I think.
Babysitter.
Yeah, babysitter, assistant, slash. And I believe that I deserve a medal.
This got me a 19-year-old girl without working out.
When I look back on it now, I can't believe I put up with him 24 hours a day. He would promise me that he would give me $500 or $600 for the week. And then during the week, he'd be like, well, I'm going to take out, you know, the $100 from that. So you're only going to get $400 because I have to do this thing for this guy and, you know, and I have to pay this guy a certain amount of money. And then he would just start going crazy, like, and as if I was fighting with him, which I wasn't, he would sort of be like arguing with himself and be like, and, you know, and damn it, I just can't give you the $600. And I'm like sitting there not even arguing. I'm just like, okay, Randy, you know, and so it would end up turning into like $200 or $300 by the end of the week.
When you loan him $100, you know you're going to get $80 back, and that's all you're going to get. And that, in his mind, the debt's even. It's sometimes 85. It's like an 80 to 85% number. Just like a loan shark. If Randy's going to take this and give this to this person, he's going to take a few for himself first. He's just like a bookie.
The only reason why I'm staying here is because the sign says $39.99 all rooms, right? And heated pool, a sauna, extended rates available, but the $39.99 means the wing, but you can't see the wing. When you go inside, that's the wing only, which is like way the fuck in the back, the wing. A mile away, it's like on a different street, the wing. Okay, so I don't see that. When you come out here, now look, there it is, wing. It goes by, and it's false advertising. Like, you guys are fucking me by making me pull over, coming inside, wanting a room for $39.99, because all rooms are $39.99. That's what it says. Wing, there it is. It's not even big letters. See how big the rooms is? $39.95, big. That's cheap. Spa, big. Wing, look how small wing is. It's small, it goes by quickly.
Randy's not good in relationships, I don't think. You know, he cares about the world as a whole, you know, but his own backyard is kind of messy. I had a little fling with Randy Credico, which was started me smoking again.
And I remember telling a friend of mine, Ellen, who knew him really well, she's like, whatever you do not get involved with Randy Credico. And I said, why? And she said, do not get involved with Randy Credico. He is so negative. And she goes, if you do, I would really suggest therapy. Just do something. Just don't get involved with him.
He used to talk about Nicaragua all the time. And there was this book that, you know, he was telling me about, you know, it's like Washington and Nicaragua or something. And I remember I took like, I don't know, I traveled for a day to find this book. Like, I was even interested in Nicaragua, but I was in love with Randy, so I carried that book around with me to school. People were like, why are you reading that?
Like the Sandinistas in Nicaragua and how the U.S. had it. And it was like, I'd always get bombarded with information, and I always felt like I was clueless. I remember listening to, you know, Sting, you know, Dancing with the Missing, and I thought of Randy Credico, you know, Mr. Pinochet with the, and I remember like quoting that song of Sting, and just thinking, well, you know, if I read up on what Sting's talking about, I keep up with Randy Credico.
When I met Alexandra, she was from Chile, which is a place where I was very concerned about. There was a general there by the name of Pinochet who had a coup, and I talked about that in my act for 10, 15 years. The fact that she was from Chile, that's what rang the bell with her. I thought, well, this is great. She's from Chile, and blah, 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 blah. And it turned out she was the most apolitical person I have ever been with, right? So she presented herself almost as a Chilean refugee. You know, fact of the matter, she was born here in Brooklyn.
If you share an apartment with Randy, don't be surprised if you find cigar ashes in the butter dish in the refrigerator.
I met his girlfriend, Alex, and I said, Alex, I hope you don't. She was a waitress at the New York Comedy Club, and I think maybe even Randy got her the job. You know, he was always doing nice things. And I said, oh, I hope you don't mind. I was kind of seeing Randy. She's like, oh, good. Oh, good, I'm so happy. I can't take him. I mean, I love Randy. He's so nice, but, oh.
I know he's thinking about something probably very brilliant, but he doesn't realize what's happening around him. So he opens the refrigerator door, sticks his head into the refrigerator to pick whatever it is he wants to eat, and the ashes fall on the butter.
After sex, he'd go, that was nice. Roger Paul, yeah, what about the gig? I mean, he would go right into, yeah. No, I was supposed to do, don't fuck me over with it. And I'd be like, I can't fucking believe this. I can't. He goes, no, don't go. I've got to make some money.
You know what he did? One time we went to Rochester. We were doing a week-long gig in Rochester, and I bought sandwiches because female comics always bring sandwiches on the road in the car. And I don't know, we were saving like a half a sandwich for later, and when we got out of the car to unpack our luggage, he actually went in the back and like ate the sandwich. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. He ate half a sandwich, like not telling me, like in like 2 seconds. Like he was like a homeless guy.
Oh, Vanessa, look, you don't know what I go through. You don't know what my life has become. I said, yeah, I know exactly what your life's become. That's all I hear about. It's your fucking miserable life. You think you're the only one who's miserable? And then he'd start laughing, and then I'd start laughing.
And so we got to this Rochester gig, and he was like out of his mind. And we're having this affair, and he would never take that cigar out of his mouth. In bed, out of bed.
I think the whole basis of our friendship now is cigars. I believe that if I didn't smoke good cigars, I would never speak to him. Once, when he was in my house, he stole some cigars. He went into the humidor without permission and stole cigars. So he is a thief. No, I told him he could take some cigars, but he took a lot more than he was supposed to.
I was really sad once. I can't remember. I had some kind of disappointment. And he just stopped what he was doing, and he went, come here. Let me give you a hug. And I was like, no, you don't have. He goes, no, come on. I remember we were at Washington Square Park, and he just hugged me. And I remember he just petted my hair, and he said, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And the look in his eyes was so sweet, and he really had this sweetness and this sexiness about him, and he really did care about what was going on. I think women sensed that, and you could never hold him, could never tie him down. He thought if he could get as much passion for you as he could for the Rockefeller drug laws, you could have a great time together.
Randy's on the phone with Joey Heatherton, and he said, come on over and hang out with a bunch of friends. So he made it sound like a party. It was a hardcore poker game. So Joey Heatherton puts on a fur coat and gets all dressed up. She comes over to this studio apartment and just sits on the couch while me and 6 other guys played poker and just stared at the back of Randy's head.
Hi, I'm Joey Heatherton.
Joey Heatherton, who I knew from Las Vegas, was on the lam because she was having a shitload of legal problems. She had slapped the passport clerk. She stabbed her ex-boyfriend. She was caught with cocaine. So I said, you know what? You need a lawyer. She says, I have no money. I said, this is perfect. I'll call up Kunstler.
You didn't know Kunstler?
I didn't know him. I just knew. I loved him. I loved his persona. I knew about him. So I called him up. Seeing this woman who was a Vegas dancer with absolutely no politics with this old radical lawyer was such a strange picture. She ended up turning against me and then turning against him. And I haven't seen her in a long time. He and I became very close friends.
Well, maybe we can talk to each other. What do you think does...
For me to talk to my own voice, raises certain predilections.
Raises certain predilections.
He gets on my telephone in my office and answers calls. And people think they're talking to me, and he says the goddamnedest things. One judge almost held me in contempt over the telephone because of what Randy said to him over the phone.
My leader, my spiritual leader, was William Kunstler, and when he died in '95, no one could ever fill that void for me. He was the greatest person that I singly ever hung out with was William Moses Kunstler, and I loved him like a father, like a brother.
Let's change the Rockefeller law. Less time for nonviolent crimes.
Randy would get, I don't know how he'd get it, but he'd get information that Pataki is appearing here. So Pataki would come down and be a bunch of families down there holding the signs out. Change the Rockefeller drug laws and stuff like that.
Do you have any
I have a lot of literature on it.
Good. Give me the literature.
We'd support you if you would fight to repeal this law.
I don't want to commit to anything until I've had a chance to really look at it.
131% overpopulation in jail. I mean, every day we're going all over the state. We've got 100,000 signatures on a petition right now.
What about people who have been convicted of a drug crime, but also of another violent crime?
For violent crime, that's a different thing. We're here showcasing nonviolent offenders, first-time offenders, and the people at Bedford Hills.
Who's the head who I should contact? Do you have a card or anything, or you want to write it on this?
right there.
All right, I'm not going to get back to you directly, but I'm going to have our head of criminal justice services get back to you because she's been doing an analysis of this. What do I do with the flyers? So these are the ones you gave me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just up in Bedford Hills, and everyone that works there, the guards, even the superintendent, knows that these laws are bad. That those women shouldn't be there, and people up in Greenhaven know that they shouldn't be up there.
I will have our Director of Criminal Justice Services, Randy
Credico.
Okay, thanks for being out. I appreciate it, guys.
I really believe that Randy played a major role with respect to my release and me receiving executive clemency from the governor. I often recall Randy protesting and actually speaking with Pataki and letting them know, you have people out there that's drowning under these drug laws, and it's like you're aware of the problem and you're allowing them to drown as opposed to throwing a lifesaver out there to them.
It's been 11 years.
Yeah.
It's been all your life.
I love her. I don't really know her, so I want to get to know her better.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's over.
Thank you.
I feel good, but I feel bad because I left too many people behind.
It was really a indescribable, great feeling to see Arlene get out that day. I felt that day that I actually had done something positive in my life. On the one hand, it was great to see her get out. On the other hand, it wasn't, because that kid was no longer useful in you know what I mean, and getting more people involved. And we lost our Shirley Temple that day.
Do I have a commitment to keep Jeff in this thing? From you? Is that a promise? I got it. It's all set. All right. For Jeff to take the case. Now Jeff's going to take this pro bono, right? Yeah, but you're going to have to fucking listen to me here, okay? I had to do a lot of maneuvering. Where's Jeff? He's got to call me right away.
I got the news about this great development in the Tulia case. Tanya White was turning herself in. And now we had to get bail for her.
You and I are back in the bail business. I got the biggest thing that just happened in Tulia. They got Luwanda's sister, who's been on the lam for 2 years, and she has a $10,000 bail, I'll put up $500 if you'll put up $500 to bail her out. You want to do it? You want to do the same thing we did before? I mean, this is the case. It breaks the fucking whole thing. See, you do a set, you get 20 minutes at night. When you're doing this, it's all day long a rush.
So while we're doing this, on the other line, I get a call from upstate New York that Governor Pataki wants to do something the following month to change the Rockefeller drug laws. So both things were happening at the same time, and it's been like that, it seems, since the very beginning.
Hi. So the governor today, there's a lot of movement happening. He wants to start talking about the Rockefeller stuff because he knows the Puerto Rican vote is the crucial battleground this year. The critical battleground is the Latino vote. So that's why we've been putting all those ads in. I said, why aren't we doing this stuff in Spanish? Look at that. Governor, he's going to love this. This is all to the Spanish community. Next week, there's going to be 150,000 of these things distributed. It's got all these different cases here.
Last year, everybody thought this was the year that we were going to have Rockefeller reform. Pataki led off his whole thing. There was all this momentum, editorials up and down the state. Now's the time for Rockefeller reform, Rockefeller reform. So Pataki puts out his bill. The Assembly bill puts out their bill. Anyways, the year goes through. We still don't have it. I don't know. I don't know when the Rockefeller laws are going to be changed.
It seems like it always ends up in disappointment. No matter what happens, no matter what kind of news you get really encouraged by it, but ultimately it's disappointment. That's the way it seems.
I'm doing what I do, and I got 6 or 7 calls from women whose husbands are in prison wanting to know if the new bill is going to get their husbands home so they can take care of their children, all right? So they leave messages, they want to know, and I got to call them back and say, it may not happen this year.
Tired, drunk, tired, just like be like this. Tired, man, just tired.
I went through a crisis in my life, and Randy was there for me all the way. My wife passed away, and he understood it, sympathized, and related to it in a way that very few other people, and I realized what he really is. Randy is this incredible emotional piece of litmus paper that plunged into whatever situation there is, reacts honestly. That's what he is as a human being, and that's when I came to love him. And I'm still not sure I like him all that much, but I love him, and I consider my friendship with him to be one of the most valuable things in my whole life.
He kept sticking his fingers in the pan and picking up breast of chicken and eating the chicken and putting it back in the pan. And by the time the chicken was cooked, he had eaten all the chicken. It's pretty uncomfortable to be with him, but it's, there's something about him that people like. No one knows what it is.
That's it.
If it wasn't for Randy, Terrence would still be incarcerated, and I'd still be trying to get him out with no help. Listen to you and helped you when nobody else would.
Former police chief talks about cops lying in narcotics cases. Oh, shit. Selling drugs. Here, read about it right here, sir.
No, thanks. I put most of those guys in jail.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. Perjured testimony, you're a criminal. That's why you're under a federal probe right now, because I've given evidence against guys like you. Who becomes an ADA? The scum of the earth.
There's something intrinsically wrong with the human race. It keeps repeating its same mistakes, its same inhumanity, its same hate.
Believe those type of guys that go on the witness stand and shoot a guy point blank 12 times.
It may seem futile sometimes. It may seem like a wasted adventure. But you know what? I don't care how they treat me. I'm going to continue to be in people's faces. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
This is nothing but a scam operation. You should know about it when you're on a jury. You should know about that stuff. The same type of coward that would shoot a guy 12 times at point blank.
I mean, if I only lived to be 70, that'd be like 25 more years. What's that, 25 more spins around the sun? You know, I would like to spend that time doing something meaningful.
Former police chief talks about cops who sell drugs and lie on the witness stand, folks. Well, here, read about it. Testifying is what it's called. Narcotics agents who lie on the witness stand. That's what you have behind closed doors. This is nothing but a scam operation.
I just hope he gets more passionate about it and gets so disgruntled that it results in suicide. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed. That he gets nothing accomplished, and he can't make an impression on the world. He can't change anything, and the world is just too horrible, and he'll kill himself.